That's okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Program and Policy Committee meeting. The time is 5:32 p.m. Here in the Samuel A. Meyer Boardroom, located at the Alpha Lee West Building, Room 105, here in Fort McIntosh. Thank you all for joining us. We're going to we'll do the roll call before we welcome our new members to the first meeting of this committee. The Program and Policy Committee meeting, Jackie Levin Ramos present, Erica Benavides Garcia, present. Lizzie Newsom, Ernestina Tita Cantuvela, present. While we don't have a quorum, we do have 4 members present, and our committee meets every month. And for the sake of the new members, which in this case is Ms. Newsom, welcome Ms. Newsom to our committee. I am your Program and Policy Committee Chair. Ms. Erica Benavides Garcia is the co-chair. And Ms. Vela is joining us this time around. I believe she joined us at the very beginning, and then she went to another committee, and then she came back. So we all have an opportunity to share with different committees. This committee deals with program and policy, and I want to take the opportunity to just briefly explain what our purpose is and the committee. Our Program and Policy Committee talks about anything that's going on with regards to policy and any programs or any activities that are mentioned in our policy manual. And so we do want to have a discussion today on 2 items being brought to the board so that they can be decided upon. Whatever the board decides, we do not vote on it, but we do discuss it and make recommendations to have that conversation the day of the board. Okay? Any questions? Let me know along the way, and we'll be glad to help each other out. Okay? Number three is the TASB Board Policy Update 48, review updated legal policies and act on local policies. Dr. David Ariesola is CAK, local appropriations and revenue sources investments. CDE, local uh, CD, accounting financial ethics. DHB, local employee standards of conduct, child abuse and neglect reporting. And FAA, local equal educational opportunity, pregnant and parenting students. Dr. Aresola, welcome.
Good evening, board members. David Arizola, Vice President of Compliance and Risk Management for the record. As we do twice a year, we're presenting policy updates for the board. Actually, I should say 48 or 45. Maybe I'm coming back up 45 with everything going on right now. But just to remind everybody, our policy manual consists of 4 types of uh, documents or policies, right? So we have legal policies. Those are all legally referenced policies that reflect federal and state law. And TASB basically takes the laws and puts them into our policy manual as they relate to higher education. Legal policies are not adopted by the board. We have to take them, like it or not, right? The local policies, that's what I'm presenting today. Those are what TASB does is they send us their interpretation of the legal policies and how they recommend that we put them into our policy manual. And then you see the 4 local policies in your packet there. We also have regulations, very few, not too many regulations, and exhibits, which are usually forms or documents that connect to the policies themselves. Right? So the policy manual is updated twice a year. They'll send us the legal policies once, probably around December or actually November, and in December they sent us the local policy. So again, all the legal policies are already in our policy manual. The local policies are what we're going to talk about today. So the first one, CAK local, we're going to ask the board to review again in February because upon speaking to Mr. Vela um, about this particular policy, this policy gets updated by his office in February. So he's already working on not only adopting whatever TASB is proposing, but also he has to add some more things that are relevant to his area and that. So CAK local, we're going to bring back in at the next board meeting. CDE local is on accounting and financial ethics. So the change there is that at the federal awards disclosure, they revised the disclosure requirements to align the text with amendments to the OMB guidelines. I have Mr. Vela here. He can explain the questions that if you have any. But there's some updates to the definition of fraud and financial impropriety. Also, some references to compliance with federal awards, grants, and the Civil False Claims Act that were included in the new policy. So the policy itself, again, with respect to the policy itself, the change is fairly minor. It's about 10 words that were, maybe 10, 15 words that were added to the actual policies. Not a major change to that. DHB is on local, DHB locals on employee standards of conduct reporting child abuse and neglect. All employees of the institution are required by law to report any incidences of child abuse and neglect. So that's been around for a long time. The updates, what they add is on whoever's reporting is not necessarily allowed to report anonymously. We have to provide a name and a phone number so that way we can follow up with them. And also, so there's one little clause that says any reports that are made to the Department of Family Violence has to be recorded. That it's one sentence that's added in there. Again, not many changes there at all. The last of the four changes for this local update is on FAA local, and it's regarding pregnancy and parenting students. This is we've had, seems like we've been talking about this all
All
afternoon.
day, all day.
But again, by law, we are required to provide some accommodations to pregnant and parenting students, and they have to come in and disclose that they are uh, either expecting or have a child under the age of 18. And depending on where they are in that stage, we provide different types of services. So that has also been around for about a year or two. The additions to the policy here are a little bit of clarification on what the role of the liaison is. So we have somebody here, Ms. Fabiola Rodriguez, I don't know if she's, and Ms. Raquel Peña. So Ms. Fabiola deals with the parenting students, and Ms. Raquel Peña deals with pregnant students. And depending on what their situation is, whether they have complications with their pregnancy or childcare, in the case of parenting students, we might be able to provide some accommodations there. Um, so the FAA local provides a little bit more clarification on what the role of the liaison is. Probably the bigger change or the bigger addition is the expectation is that now we have to make sure that any services that we can provide, that we make sure that students are able to access them on the website, on any student handbook, and on any employee handbook, right? So they want, basically the changes, they want this to be publicized. So easily available to students to find information about these accommodations. So again, overall, nothing major on the new updates, but we'll take any questions if you have.
Any questions from the committee? No? I do have a question. We're only dealing with under 18 years old,
Mm-mm.
Yes.
right? Okay. So over 18,
Well, if they have children under 18.
huh?
For parenting, if they have children under 18.
If, under 18. Okay.
Which, I mean, it's a big part of our student population, but
I was going
um,
to say, right? So, but if you're pregnant, it can be any age?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
And it could be the spouse as well.
Yeah, we have to.
Or partner, or whether it's male or female. I mean, it's both parties.
Mhm,
The
mhm,
both parenting parents
mhm.
that are expecting a child can receive services. And the same for parenting students who have children under the age of 18.
18, okay.
Mhm.
So how does this information get out to them that this is available? Because let's say it's the gentleman, right? And his wife is expecting, so, and he doesn't know of this particular policy that's available for his benefit, really. How would he know? Where is it located? Where could they find it besides in our manual policy? Is it also in the student handbook?
Right now, the primary place that we have this information is in the syllabus. It's on every syllabus.
And the syllabus, okay.
Well,
every classroom
and
syllabus.
what we're trying to do is it's now on the admissions application.
Mhm. Okay,
And every semester, Raquel is required to send out notices to all enrolled students of all, there are certain things that we have to send out to all students of their rights, their rights and not responsibilities necessarily, but yes, their rights and responsibilities.
Mhm.
And so that also goes out to them there. The key thing about this, and this came out of the Dear Colleague letter during the last administration, the student must self-disclose.
that's what I could say.
Because I notice someone that is expecting, I can't go up and say, hey, excuse me, you
No, Mhm.
you really can't do that because of their privacy.
exactly.
Now, if the student says, I'm pregnant and I need help, or I'm not doing well in class and I need support, then we direct them to the appropriate person. to provide that support. And so that self-disclosure is kind of a yes or a no. So we provided as much as we can up front without sending an all-student email, but the notifications that go out every semester to all students goes to all enrolled students. So technically, everybody's getting it. If,
The chair recognizes Ms. Garcia. I'm
What
sorry.
I was gonna ask was that, does it have to be a full-time student?
no, as long as they're enrolled students.
And workforce, or it doesn't matter what the course that they're taking?
It
is,
does
right,
not
guys?
matter.
Okay. Is that similar? to-
Chair recognizes Ms. Vela.
Your mic, please.
Remember in the olden days, I say, the PEP, was it the PEP program?
Sort of. The services are a little bit different
Oh.
because they're not, during the PEP program, we would put all of those people in one
Yes.
room.
Yeah.
If
And-
you
and this
recall,
one we
we don't
don't.
do that anymore.
Okay, because you'd be discriminating.
Mhm.
Yes, but that was
It,
the PEP
it-
when
it
they,
might be closer to requesting FMLA for maternity leave or
Yeah.
paternity leave,
yeah,
where you're allowed to, a certain accommodations, like if you need to miss a day for a doctor's appointment, or in the case of a pregnant student, that they need to go to the restroom more
More often.
frequently because of their condition, then, we can work with the faculty and let them know that more than anything, it's
just
a way to communicate.
And then
these issues.
we also connect them through our liaisons. We connect them to other services that may be available to them. If they're not getting the appropriate maternal or prenatal care, if they're not getting those kinds of support services that are out there, we try to provide that kind of support. I know that both Raquel and Fabi are really good at meeting with the students and saying, have you tried going here or have you tried going there? They might be able to help you. But again, the students need to self-disclose.
What happens when a student is pregnant, but they're in the dual enrollment? Do they get the same?
I'm sure.
Well, the
that-
dual room at the high schools have
They
similar-
have there's accommodations at
similar
504s.
accommodations, probably.
That would go through 504.
And if I could ask that you send me, share the PowerPoint
Yes,
so that I can do my
Wait,
summary for the board. I'd
I'll send
really
it to you.
appreciate it.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions, comments on this number 3, TASB Board Policy Update 48? Dr. Adesola, anything else? I see that there's another long list of updates.
Oh, those are the
Yeah,
legal.
those are the
ones.
legals.
so
You're
we
okay
have
with
to
that?
do them anyway.
Okay. I do want to clarify something for our new members in the committee. When the local policies are listed, those are ones that TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards, because we subscribe to them so that they can go ahead and help us with the policies, whether they be legal or local, and exhibits and regulations. We subscribe to them. Out of all of the districts, college districts that are available in the state of Texas, not everybody subscribes to TASB. That's very important to note. Oh, we subscribe because we have had our manual, our policy manual dictated through them. We pay them, and they also come to us and they help us with any other policies that are needing update. So every year you're going to see update 48, update 49 is because they continuously, that is a service they provide for us. In addition, any local policy that is on the manual policy, we can address, and we are going to hear this on number 4 right now. It's something that we want to discuss as a committee. We bring it before the committee before we take it to the board. The discussions that we have here, we can either make our opinions noted and see how we can either work to make it better and update it. I'm a firm believer that policy is ever changing, and it changes with the times. It changes with how the circumstances are, and so I always feel that policy. We've been through a lot of policy through the time on the board, And I've seen how we've addressed issues with employees, with students, with just the way the organization works.
Yeah.
And is beneficial. One of the things that I firmly believe about policy, that is beneficial to all. So I kind of sort of refer back to the Rotary, belief that you have to think about it that way, because it's going to be what drives for the college, but also what's best for the college. So if along the way you have questions and you have concerns or issues, always ask, and we're more than happy to talk about it. This is a good opportunity, and then we take it to the board, and then we ask for their vote based on what we discussed, and our summaries are presented during the board. Okay?
And if I may add, Ms.
Yes, ma'am.
Ramos, these updates that Dr. De Sola brings forward to us, they're also based on the previous, many of them are still being interpreted from the previous legislative session.
Mhm.
And so as the legislative laws are enacted, and because they have different dates when they become active, the changes are then updated by TASB at that appropriate time.
Yes.
So we saw some things that were enacted immediately, other things that had a delayed start, some that just became required this January. So as those things come through, Dr. De Sola and his team go through all of them. We go through some of them, and then they're brought forward to the committee to review.
And I'd like to say that Dr. Adesola and myself, I think we've worked together very well, where I think about something that I want to change, and maybe I make a suggestion, and we help each other on the wording, or we also defer to Mr. Muir. Mr. Muir guides us in the writing, in the wording, and what is appropriate also that will meet I want to say that will meet the checklist from all participants. So in case along the way you feel like, well, maybe there's something that I'd like to, okay, let's find out, and we'll all get together. Okay. Anything else?
I just want to add also the volume of what's presented really depends on where we are in the
Where we are in the-
legislature. So
That's right.
today, very nicely, just 3 updates after the legislature.
Yeah.
Legislative session ends, it'll probably be a little bit longer meeting. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edison. I really appreciate it. We move on to number 4, the review and approve modifications to LC Board Policy CLA Local Facilities Planning Facility Standards. If I may bring your attention to CLA Local, specifically, these are facilities planning and facility standards. I'm bringing it before the board and before our committee because I really want to make sure that we think about how we can make some clarifications, some modifications on this particular policy. So I take you to the first section. We're not going to go over that just yet. I feel that in the future, we might be looking at considering some possible changes to the naming of college district facilities. This has been an evolving policy ever since I started here in 2014. And we've made changes, and we've come back, and we've made changes, and we've made forward. So I want to bring something to the table before my colleagues, and I want to direct you to the section entitled Plaques on New or Remodeled College District Facilities. Any plaque to be placed on the new or remodeled facility shall include the following information: the date of facility's dedication or rededication, board officers and members as of the date of dedication or rededication, college president as of the date of dedication or rededication, architectural firms responsible for the final design of the facility, construction firms responsible for the substantial financial completion of the facility, and additional information as identified by the board. The board shall provide the final review and approval for all plaques placed on a new or remodeled facilities. I bring your attention to number 1, number 2, and number 3. So we do have some facilities that are going to be opening up soon. I want to give you an example of something that I feel that had we addressed this before, it would have helped a lot of people. But when we did the library, I believe I was part of the group, Ms. Vela was part of the group that was here that we approved the library being built or rebuilt, remodeled. And along the way, it took quite a bit of time. There was some board members that were very diligent in helping, provide for the library. But when the library did get to open and the plaque was presented, the first plaque was replaced by the second plaque. And the second plaque had everybody who was on board right there. So, for example, Dr. Maldonado was present for the library. His name did not go on the plaque. So Dr. Solis's name went on the plaque, but he was present and had not voted for it, if everybody remembers that, right? He was not the administrative president that was here. So I believe we brought it to the board, and the board said no. They wanted to keep it that way, where the current president, and the current board members were here. It was a very sad moment because there was a couple of board members. I believe it was the ones that I had replaced and Ms. Vela had replaced. And we voted for some of it, but not all of it. And they deserve to have been on that plaque, right? My proposal to my fellow colleagues today is modifying this board policy to include both groups. So the ones that voted for it, whether it be board members and the president, in this case, I'm gonna tag it, Dr. Marisela, because you were present for some of the buildings that were approved. You were administration, okay? And Dr. Ramirez is now our current president. So I'm wanting to bring before my colleagues is a modification to this facilities and planning is to include both parties. And I want to hear from you all. I want to hear your feedback. I feel that it's important for us to consider those that voted for it, that also were administrative, and also consider the new staff. It's always been my viewpoint. Whenever they ask me, do you aspire to have a building named after you? Well, first of all, I don't have that kind of money, number one. But number two, if my name is on certain plaques, I'm okay, because my name is on that. I was present during the time that these things were being decided upon. Besides that, I don't have to have my name on any plaque or anything else like that. It's on record that I voted for it, and it's on record that, but we really do need to think about these for future. And, I would like to hear from my fellow colleagues and thinking about what is the point of view that they share and how we can come to an agreement to provide it to the board and see if the board would like to make those modifications. Chair recognizes Ms. Vela.
I remember clearly when we discussed that. And one of the things that I asked for was the original plaque, and they disappeared. Nobody could ever find them. They completely
I kind of wanted
disappeared.
to ask that, like,
They were gone.
you have to have that original one, I think, and
Absolutely.
then thereafter,
And then
as it's
the new one.
updated and it moves on the
Absolutely.
time,
But,
because, that's the original,
Yeah.
you know?
but they disappeared.
Wow,
They were gone.
okay.
Do you remember, Fred? Cesar, and Marisela, you all were here. They were gone. They disappeared. We don't know what happened to them.
But
Because
that's
that
the one
was
from the
something,
library.
that was something that upset.
They
No,
found the
and not
ones-
only the library, the Kaizen Center.
Oh, no, but it was, I believe it
The
was
Kaizen
Atkins.
Center was also redone.
The Atkins was also redone, and this building right here.
This
Laird
one
Hall.
here,
No, the Laird Hall.
Laird Hall.
Laird Hall.
and then this one here. The West Building also, because it was built years and years ago. But I don't know what happened to the plaques. They
We'll
just,
follow up. I mean,
I mean, it's been a long time. They're
I think
probably
I think the library one was found in.
Good.
I think.
Mhm.
It should be the original one.
Yeah,
That's the-
which would
those
be
are the
nice.
ones that
Those are
worry
the
me.
ones that-
Because these
That's
are
right.
historical buildings and
Absolutely.
those original plaques
That's
need to
right.
stay. And then we can
Absolutely.
add the remodeling,
Exactly.
whatever. So that would,
Yeah, but that.
And I
really
do
upset me.
agree with Ms. Ramos, because the people that decided that they wanted to make that change had the vision for something, right? And I think they deserve
I agree.
to have their name on it. Yes, of course, the board, if it is different, that is there, yeah, I mean, they can have their,
Moment.
their moment too, but really the ones that deserve it are the people that
The
made
first
that
choice.
decision.
That's right.
Because really it came to fruition because of the decision that was made at that time.
And the planning.
Mhm.
Yes,
All
no,
the
yes.
work
All the
that goes
planning
into
and all the
creating
work.
all
That's
the,
my
Mhm.
opinion,
Mhm. And if you notice at the very bottom of this facilities planning and facility standards, this was issued on March the 30th, 2020. So that's something for you to consider, our fellow colleagues, because that's the last time that we updated it. So Dr. Marisela had not been named interim just yet. It was the future was
There it is.
coming. And Dr. Ramirez was not here, so that was the future too as well. And, I think it's important that we welcome our new trustees because they will be playing a great role when we open the building or rededicate it. That's going to be important. But I also feel that we need to give, recognition to those that
The
were here,
originals.
the originals. Good thing is, I don't foresee that we need to address the last three items because in this section, because the architectural firms are selected at the very beginning. The construction firm is the firm that finishes up, begins the building, works on the building and finishes the building and turns it into us. And additional information as identified by the board, definitely, we can consider putting something else in there. I know that we do have a diagram, and if you can give us a diagram, Dr. Marisela or Dr. Ramirez, a diagram of what the plaques look like right now, so that our fellow board members can understand that we would be making if the board approves it, then we would be making two together. It would be not separate. And we vote on that also as well. So when the time comes for these buildings to be renamed, rededicated, we get that piece of paper and they show us. I know Dr. Fred is very good about providing us with that diagram and, and Mr. Vela too, because we need to know how much it costs, right? And so he gives us a diagram of all the names and we check off our names, right? We check off everybody who is participating in this particular moment and make sure that they don't misspell my name or they don't misspell anybody's name. And, it goes also with president, vice chair, and secretary. So all of that is on the plaque. And so that's, again, if it was up to me, as I'm secretary, I state secretary, I mean, so I'm okay. But I do feel like I should recognize those that participated in the selection of this particular endeavor. So, anything else from our colleagues? Is everyone in agreement
I am.
that we can
I am.
present it to the board?
Yes.
Okay. And then the board will decide based on the diagram, if possible. If you could please provide us with a copy of a previous plaque. And then to include, this is the proposal, to include number 2, the second one, board officers and members as of the date of dedication or rededication. Mr. Miura, can you assist us with that for the
Yes.
proposal?
Yes, Madam President. So the idea is to have the board members and board officers who were in place when the
Decision was made.
decision was made to construct the building, or the decision was made to modify or
Mhm.
remodel the building, right?
Yes,
And then at the time that it was dedicated or rededicated.
yes,
Okay.
please. Uh-huh.
Yeah, we can add some language to it's item 2 and I think item 3. Right?
Yes, it's going to be item 2 for the board officers and the college president. So
I
we
can
would,
draft something up
Yes, please.
before the board meeting
Yes.
and present it to you.
thank you so much. I
Dr.
appreciate it. If you
Ramirez.
could send it to me before so that I could put it in my summary
Yes.
and make that presentation. Chair recognizes Dr. Ramirez.
Would you want for the date to be on there of the previous board, the date that the decision was made?
Mhm.
Or just the?
I think it would be nice. Yeah.
We would have to
Uh-huh.
go
So-
to the board minutes.
So date
Also then.
of,
Of the original.
of decision, or Mr. Muir,
I'm sorry.
something to add that includes the date, you know? So,
Yes, yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Ms. Vela?
It would be wonderful if we could find the original file. That would be the best.
I want to say I've seen it, but I'll go check.
I mean, they specifically, I just remember because I was horrified.
I know.
I was horrified because I just thought we should have that one and then the other one, because we didn't think of it.
Yeah.
We weren't there.
Any other,
I don't know where
Mr.
it
Muir?
would be.
Yes, ma'am. I have another item. I was reading the policy to prepare for the meeting today, and I noticed there's some language in there that's a little redundant. Up in the first paragraph, basically, what the policy says is that it involves the naming of facilities and then tells us facilities include these items, and then that the policy also includes streets, walkways, and so forth. Further on down on the first page, there's a definition of facilities that includes both the buildings and the streets and the walkways and fields. And so I think we should just here's the definition of facilities and eliminate the redundant language. That would be
And
my
where
suggestion.
are you mentioning that in the first part?
So in
first
the
paragraph?
very first paragraph, I started
With the naming of the
drafting
college.
something here, let me pull it back up again.
And while you're getting the information from that, I do want to explain something. So I brought to the table the second part of this policy. Mr. Muir is, because it's LC board policy, CLA local, we can dissect the whole entire policy or just focus on something that I was proposing. But in this case, I welcome your contribution of this particular section that might be
Redundant.
modified also and
It's
redundant.
certainly up to the board.
No,
and the
no,
committee, yes.
and I like that. I wasn't focused on that. I was focused on the second part, but thank you. I really appreciate that.
That very first paragraph of the policy, CLA local, the second sentence says that the facilities include structures, including new buildings and existing unnamed buildings. And then the next sentence says that the policy covers streets, walkways, fields, and other areas. And if you go on down, there's a list of 3 items, 1, 2, 3. And below that, there's a sentence that starts, donations shall be non-refundable. After that sentence is where I think the language is redundant.
Is redundant.
Yeah, the language reads, facilities shall include all structures, including new buildings and existing unnamed buildings, as well as streets, walkways, fields, and other areas of the college district. So you could just,
Because it's already stated on the top.
Yeah.
yes.
And remove it.
I would
Okay.
actually say, move that sentence away as it's one sentence, it lists everything, and
Mhm.
replace it with the 2 sentences that are at the top of the policy.
Okay.
Okay.
That would be,
And if we would keep donation shall be
I
non-refundable
would.
as they relate to the
Yeah,
naming of
yeah.
facility by itself.
I think so.
Okay. And,
So you could combine it with the following one, the board reserves a right to remove the name of a building or facility, I suppose.
Can you imagine?
wow. That-
Yeah, that would, yeah.
I'm sure
has
it has happened.
So we put those 2 together, okay? And that one stays, and then with the other one is, it's
Just remove
recommended
it.
that we remove it, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Elizabeth, any questions that you might have? No? We're okay? Okay. And we can keep the first paragraph the same. 1, 2, and 3 stays the same. How about if we put 1, 2, 3, and then number 4? Where the donations and the board reserves are right, put it as a number 4.
Where's this?
Right there where we're removing that sentence, but make it a number 4. No?
But it's because I think this is just talking about the naming
Yeah,
of the.
You're
buildings.
right. Okay,
Yeah.
you're right.
The other,
That's-
they're just, the other ones are
Yeah,
just
just
like. Mhm.
They're just points.
Right,
Okay,
right.
that's good. That's good. So we keep it the same, Elizabeth, and then just those 2 sentences at the bottom. um, Put them together and eliminate that sentence that's there. Okay? Anything else? Any other comments, issues, concerns? And if you feel that I need to express something at the meeting, you can certainly remind me through an email or, right now, you can let me know. I want to make sure that everybody is comfortable in kind of sort of dissecting these policies as we go through the process, because there will be others that will come before us and we'll discuss them. And then I provide a summary, and this is part of a consent agenda. So I'm going to ask Dr. Ramirez, I believe number 4 is listed in a consent agenda. Does the committee want it to stay in the consent agenda, or?
Probably not, because we might want to explain it to
But I
everybody,
think
don't
we
you
would do
think?
that when you do your policy and, when you do your committee meeting report.
But right now,
But
they've
right-
already listed it in the consent agenda. So I just want to
We
make sure
might.
that the committee agrees that we're gonna ask that it be moved aside. Is that correct, Dr. Ramirez?
You all would have to decide
Yeah,
that. If you
because
want
we
to
need to
take it
vote
out
on
of
it.
consent, you
Okay.
make
Yeah, yeah,
a
but that's what
motion
I'm
and a
asking.
Yeah,
second,
we'd
and you
have to
take it out
vote
of
on it.
consent.
Okay, so committee, are you in
Yeah.
agreement to
Yes,
place it
Sure.
on non-consent?
right. I think
Lizzie,
so.
are you okay? Okay.
Yeah, I think.
And that way, if anybody has a question about what we spoke about, if you want to
Why or.
submit some suggestions or whatever, that is the time where we have that discussion, okay? Dr. Rodriguez, Tijerina, Mr. Vela, or Ms. Dr. Resola, anything that you'd like to add? No? You okay?
I think it's a good thing. Marisela Rodriguez Tijerina, for the record, Provost Vice President of Academic Affairs. I think it's a good thing. When I was interim, a former board member called, hurt
Yes.
by the fact
Yeah,
that
I
I
know.
don't blame
in
him.
a building,
Yeah.
I don't
his
blame
name
him.
was not going to
Mhm.
be
Yeah.
on it. And so reviewing the policy,
Yeah, I think.
Sure.
yeah, at that time, there was nothing we could do.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I
If the
think,
board voted for it, that's like,
Yeah.
that's why it says 2020, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been going on 5 years,
Yeah.
almost.
Wow.
It wasn't like this before.
No, it wasn't,
No,
I know.
no, it was not.
but it was changed and
In
it was
2020.
proposed for the
And then
board. Yes.
They, stuff just disappeared.
Mr. Muir, thank you for helping us. If you could provide that also so that we can give it to, present it to the board. I appreciate your assistance
Sure.
with that too as well.
Would you like me to email it to all committee members? or
Yes,
to just- yes,
That
Yeah.
would be good.
I'm going to work on the summary, but they should be apprised of the
and
information.
Copy Dr. Ramirez.
Okay, okay. Number 5, adjournment. This adjourns our meeting really
First time ever.
quick. First time ever,
First time
6:12.
ever. It'll
This
never
meeting
be.
is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait till
Get to
the
go
next
home
one.
early.
Show it to him first.
Thank you very much to everybody for helping.
That was something that really upset me.
So
Oh, it